large restoration of a patient of mine, and it's like, oh, I think I can restore this big cavity with composite amount. So I called my circuit and I said, like, listen, this is the case I have. I don't know what to do. And he said, like, do whatever you want for now, and I'll let you do it. We're going to have, in control of the situation. And I said, okay. So I placed a very large amalgam in that tooth, and let's name this patient John. So John came back actually like a few weeks later, and it was an emergency room, and I said, like, hey, what happened? So then I was looking at the tooth, and one whole part of the tooth was missing though. And then I brought John back to my chair, and then I called again my instructor. I said, like, it didn't work, like, so what happened? I did something wrong here. He's like, you just learned a very important lesson in dentistry. That there is a limit to what you do with direct composite or amalgam. And from that date on, I was always paying attention to the cases that I was working on, and I was discussing with patients solutions or other options in terms of restorative materials. Let me translate that and now move forward to years that I was in private practice. In private practice it was different because on top of everything, I also had liability on the equation. And when it comes to liability, it is one thing liability in South America and liability in North America. So just to expose you, in South America, you don't have lawyers all over the place just waiting for a case like this. Like, yes, I got you. Have your patient. I want to see x-rays. I did something wrong here. And please, when I say lawyers, please don't get me that I don't like lawyers, okay? There are very good lawyers out there, but there are also very bad lawyers. Similar to dentists, right? You have very good dentists out there and very bad dentists out there. So I'm glad there are lawyers waiting and willing to protect patients against bad dentists. But coming back to the topic, liability is something that concerns me, especially with my students. And I want to expose you guys to that. When I tell you what exactly it is, a limitation that you have in operative dentistry before you step into crown and bridge. Because once that case happens, you have to be prepared to protect yourself. Just to summarize a few ideas here. Number one, always have a very right and willing staff to do documentation with you. In other words, always take x-rays before and after. Always take some photographs before and after. This is your legal protection. And always talk to the patients. Explain what you know about the topic, expose your knowledge. Patients will understand that. In some cases, we also need some disclosure forms. Things that patients are willing to sign before you do any procedure on their mouth. So to take that situation with John, if John was a bad guy, he would come back and say, like, hey, he never gave me options. If you choose to do a very large, complex fill in my mouth. So I went back home and my tooth ended up breaking. So now I need to crown my tooth, and it's going to cost me X amount of money, so I don't want to pay for that because it's your fault. John was a very nice patient. But imagine a patient that is willing to cause you harm. You would come back and say, like, you never show me options, now I'm going to sue you. The topic today is we're gonna step out of operative dentistry a little bit. But in between operative and crown and bridge, there is something in between. It's called the inlays and onlays. So in modern dentistry, we do have options to do large restorations, not using composite or amalgam. And when I say large restoration, it means there is a large cavity to be filled. We do have limitations using these two materials because eventually the resistance formed on the tooth, especially on the tooth, is going to be compromised. I'm also going to expose you today, showing you a video about what happened back in the day, like with gold restorations. And this is just out of curiosity, right? We're no longer doing gold restorations. But I think it's important to show you that just for you to know the basics. Knowledge that we had back in the day. And how we're going to translate that into modern dentistry. In other words, using CAD/CAM, using ceramic material, and so on. All right? By the way, I'll just give you a quick feedback about the competency. Yes, we had some whoops last week, but by looking at the final grades, I'm about to finish, by the way, so hopefully by next week we'll be ready to send you back the form. I think we did okay. Not super duper, but I know that we can do way better than that. In a certain, time, like a day or two after, was a little bit disappointed. It's like, but understand, competency is a competency. I don't see students coming here like super comfortable because this is an exam, right? But I don't take that into much consideration. Besides doing my job, that I have to collect grades and give you a pass or a fail at the end of the course. But the most important thing for me is your learning curve. And I think this class is performing well above the normal curve. Perhaps I told you before is the fact that we didn't have the matrix folder and you guys ended up prepping more tea. I think this was kind of like a big advantage for this class, or something that I saw that was different from last year. Okay, so you did okay, but I want you guys to do better for competency number 2. Remove that competency word from your mind. Just come here and have fun. Put your headsets and listen to some music. I don't want to see you guys stress out, freaking out. I mean, come on. This is just like a daily work. And that's exactly what I'm expecting you to be on that day. Just relax, all right? So we're not here judging you. Yes, we have to do great, but we're here as a co-workers, as a friend for you to just like rely on your knowledge and do your job, all right? Promise? We do have today and next week, and finish up the projects, hopefully by today or next week. And this will be a catch-up time for you to finish it up, whatever you need to be, doing. Get the signatures on the project completion form. Please pay attention to that. All right, this is a very important part of your final grade. And once you're done, that's it. Competence number 2 and back holidays. All right.
Question?
Yeah.
So what is competency number 2 going to consist of?
Basically, it's the same thing. You're doing class 2.
Okay,
You're
so
prepping and restoring class 2. Okay.
same. Oh.
The only major difference, and I can definitely disclose it to you, is that you're not going to be doing a meso-cruzo or a cruzo-distal. All like a 2 surface, but eventually a 3 surface class. Someone else. Expand the refresh. 3 surface class 2. MOB. Somewhere. On truth number 9. Just kidding. Yes, so remember we have 2 different courses. One is the lab, and one is academic. Right after the conference number 2, we have the final written exam. That is also going to be on the lab. We're expecting probably like multiple choice questions. All right. Final dates for the final summit. I need you to confirm the results, but I'll let you know. All right. All right. Inlays. So on your left side, you see what is the normal procedure for the vector switch. What means that patient comes to your office, you have a 30 minutes time slot. By the way, 30 minutes is not Dr. Roperto creating that number. It's by far the best number that managers are using in private practice. If you want to be profitable, you have to have a patient sitting down and getting out of your office in 30 minutes. Meaning, 30 minutes to have the patient sitting down, you're anesthetizing, you're selecting shade, you're isolating, you're prepping, you're restoring, you're adjusting, and the patient is out. For that, in order to be that accurate, in order to be that profitable, you have to have a very good staff right beside you. Understand how complex is the equation, right? Anyhow, this is the list of things you have to do. Isolation, remove decay, resistance form, rotation form, convenience form. Of course, these are the 3 most important things when prepping a tube. Material placement, I'm sorry, right between convenience form and material placement, you have what? Isolation, by all means. Don't expect that in private practice you're going to be doing lots of amalgam. You guys are going to be doing lots and lots of composites. And amalgam is more forgiving. Composites, you need isolation, you need protection for the tooth. Then you have occlusal adjustments and finishing polish. And I told you before, what is in between operative dentistry and crown bridge? So we do have indirect procedures. That's how we call inlays and onlays, right? Just the basics. Indirect means you're prepping a tooth, and you need a lab guy to produce, to create the restoration for you. That lab guy can be either you or a lab person using some sort of equipment. Doesn't matter if this is a CAD/CAM or this is just like a regular lab set. So basically, we have ceramic, we have metal, we have PFM, we have composite, and you have high-strength ceramic material or zirconia that can be used as an indirect. In all of these cases, again, I'm going to reinforce: you're prepping a tooth, and you have to take an image of that prep and send out to the lab. How do you do that? By using regular impressions or scanning the tooth or the area, right? So then you have isolation. When you remove the cage, resistance form, retention form. Do we need retention form from the restoration? Of course not. That's the opposite. So instead of having retention from the cavity, what you need is divergence on all the walls. In other words, you need zero retention from the pressure. Eventually, we're going to do enamel dent adhesion in your convenience form, and this is ready to go. Either you choose regular impressions, or you do optical impressions going towards CAD/CAM. If you take regular impressions, normally we take regular impressions, and this is going to take a week or two coming back from the lab. You need to fill out a lab form. You have to put a provisional in place, something to protect the tooth against the thermal environment, the aggressive environment inside the mouth. And also, most importantly, is to keep the tooth under function. I don't want to keep that tooth without any function. I want the occlusion to be in place. The tooth is going to be normal clinical life. 1 or 2 weeks later, we have the final product and the final cementation, final placement. If you guys are using more modern dentistry, then you don't use the regular impressions, you just scan the tooth, the area. And if you have a chair-side CAD/CAM, you're doing house. So you're going to design the inlay or onlay, or whatever you're doing. Central milling unit using ceramic block. Don't worry, I'm going to show you a video. And then on the same day, on the same appointment, you're going to do the final placement of the final restoration. One snap, one single shot, one single appointment. And lots of dentists are using that for marketing. Patients love the idea that I don't have to come back here, no provisional. Are you kidding me? How much more is it going to cost me? No, it's the same price. What? You're the best dentist in the world. That's the idea, okay? We don't have provisionals here, same day appointment. For CAD/CAM, I'm just going to give you 2 basic names for chair side, the ones that you can produce in-house. Currently, you have the CERIC machine that is being on the market for over 30 years. It's not a new technology, it's pretty old actually. And we have the E4D that now is called the plum mecha, which is the same idea. So we have a milling unit together with an incision unit. So, I absolutely love this and this slide and the next one because it's a good thing for you to memorize. So, remember the Jones story that I told you, my patient? I didn't have that information in mind. All right? So, what happens in the traditional dentistry, you have to respect the limits of the cavity. How extent is the cavity destruction? Scientifically speaking, when the destruction goes over 63%, it's supposed to be a crown restoration, leaving a restoration using direct or indirect. Do you have ways to measure that? Forget it. Yeah. So we do have scientists doing research and published papers, but it's pretty hard for you just in a visual clinical examination determine that if this tooth is destroyed more than 63%. But let me give you some ideas, all right? When you have a cavity that is pretty small, and you have all the cuspids is still in place, basically you have decay, just like the central fossa, extending a little bit in between the cusps, and you can do a very, simple and shallow and very conservative preps. You don't have to use amalgam. Composite is the best option. As long as you can isolate properly the tooth, composite is the best option. Nowadays, composite materials, they had like a great evolution. They are great now compared to like 20 years ago. So they improve a lot the mechanical properties. Any brand that pretty much you're buying nowadays can provide you some sort of longevity. Yeah, as long as you have proper what? Isolation. When you have one of the proximal surfaces involved, let's say this is a mesial, occlusal, or occlusal distal, composite is still a good option. As long as this is not a pretty extensive cavity, composite will be a great option, again, as long as you're able to do isolation. Now, when it comes to more, larger restorations and extended restorations, and let's say isolation is not properly in place, or it's going to be hard for you to isolate, instead of using composite, I think amalgam would be the best option. Why? Because amalgam is more forgiving. It is ugly, yes, I understand. Some patients, don't really like it, have a metal filling in the mouth. But sometimes I tell them, listen, that's the best option for you, and I guarantee this is going to give you better longevity. So amalgam comes pretty handy when you have like large restorations in MOD, or sometimes in traditional dentistry, if the tooth is missing one cusp. But again, one cusp is missing, but the other cusps are still intact. They're strong enough to resist the mouth forces. All right. When you start, looking for more destruction on the tooth, and remember the 63% destruction, I would call like a scenario like this. They also say that when the tooth receives a root canal treatment, the resistance decreases a lot because you no longer have the pulp inside the tooth. So all the dental tubules will be pretty much like dry. You don't have innervation on the tooth. The patient cannot really have any sensitivity there. This tooth eventually down the road will be more brittle to fracture, to forces that affecting the tooth. That's a kind of like scenario around 63%. I would say, we have to step into something more aggressive. Unfortunately, the tooth needs a crown. Or when you don't have any cusp present in place, so then definitely this is a crown. In modern dentistry, the scenario changed a little bit. When I say modern dentistry means you're using better composites. You now have the options to take just an impression of tooth and have like a meal restoration in sight, or you have a good lab that you can work with. So the traditional or the conservative cavities can still be restored with composites. But when it comes like for large destruction of the tooth, instead of putting something that is gonna, last for 5 to 8 years. Remember Dr. Vesman's lecture about the composite, the longevity he mentioned here about it. What if you can also have the option to offer your patient something that's going to last longer? Yes, it's going to be more expensive, but some patients, or most of them, might say, what? I'd rather invest in more money now than have them come back here in a few years to replace that filling for a new one. What is this other option that you can give me? And the answer to that is like ceramic material. Ceramics are not new in the market. They're like a pretty old type of material. But nowadays we have better machinability to work with these ceramics. We have better and more accurate machines that can mill ceramics in a very thin aspect. And you can place these ceramics in certain, relatively conservative cavities. So when you have a large MOD cavity, instead of putting composite there, offer the option to have an inlay. Or if you're missing one cusp, Every time you're missing one single cusp in the tooth, this is no longer an inlay. This will be called an onlay. I'll give the definition in a second, right? Or even multiple cusps missing in a tooth. Again, this is the scenario that I call approaching 63%. But you still have two good cusps in there. Why not perhaps try an onlay before destroying everything else and putting a crown? And in this new scenario here of modern dentistry, only when you're missing the whole thing, the crown would be replaced. Again, I'm not taking into consideration the fact that the tooth has a root canal or not, because basic rule, even for the insurance company, when your tooth receives a root canal, it would be a great idea to just put a crown on that tooth. In terms of longevity, and this is scientifically proven, that a crown can last way better than just putting an inlay or onlay. Is that clear so far? All right, something for you to memorize, and these might be used in the final exam. What are indirect restorations? These are restorations that can be made by a lab technician, either you or a lab guy. When I say you, meaning when you're doing a chair-side CAD-CAM, are you guys familiar with these CAD-CAM? Ceramic machine? Yeah? Or if you shake your hand like this, I'll say like that. Meaning direct restoration, we need a lab person to execute, to produce the restoration for you. Anyhow, they can be made of metal. This metal can be gold, or can be different types of metal, even silver. Resin or ceramic. This is in modern dentistry. Right? Preparation for ceramic and resin are the same. Basically, we're talking about same principles. All the internal line angles are rounded, everything is rounded. Metal is a bit different. So for metal, you can leave sharp angles in a few spots, or the retention form will be slightly different. Well, I'm sorry, the resistance form will be slightly different. We'll be from that in a second. Resistance and retention form are provided primarily by the adhesion to enamel and dentin. In other words, the cavity itself is not providing any retention. Yes, it's providing resistance, but not retention. Forget about retention here. Everything is glued to the tooth. It's not like long or composite. Composite is used now adhesives, but here we have a cement. We have an interface in between the restorative material and the tooth itself. Walls and floor should be smooth, and internal angles should be rounded to enhance not only adaptation, but also to provide a better stress of the forces, or the stress that's going inside the tooth. Minimal reduction here is always between 1.5 and 2 millimeters. So eventually these preps will be slightly more aggressive than conventional amalgam, especially amalgam, or composite restoration. And why is that necessary? Ceramic is a very strong material, but it's also brittle. Meaning you need thickness. You need a good foundation for this material to resist, in the clinical life. So you have to shape down a little bit more floor on the cavity in order to achieve these 2 millimeters for this tooth. Bezels. Normally you don't put any bezels for these restorations. Basically, it's the same idea for composites or amalgam. We don't want to have a very thin surface, close to the cable surface. Although for gold restorations, back in the day, some clinicians used to put bezels there, because this is a metal thing, it can resist these forces. And let's just quickly go into the definition here, and then I'm going to show you a video, okay? Inlay, by definition, inlay is an intracoronal restoration using direct material. So in inlays, it's almost like a composite restoration. We do have one, two, or three surfaces involved. And be either, we can occlusal, meso-occlusal, distal-occlusal, or meso-occlusal and distal. It's pretty similar to class 1 or class 2 composite. The only difference is that usually these preps we have the isthmus slightly larger, And again, you have to go slightly deeper in order to create some resistance for the material. So they can be manufactured in the lab or using a CAD/CAM machine and cemented in place. You see all these 4 teeth on the top? You see any missing cusps there? No. If you don't have any missing cusps, this will be called an inlay. What is the main difference between an inlay and a class 2 composite or amalgam restoration? Beautiful question for the clients. What is that? Yeah, how do you?
The walls are diverging for inlay.
Yep. So for every single indirect procedure, all the surrounding walls, instead of having convergence, we have what? Let's go deeper. Let's unpack that information a little bit. Does that mean I have to use any different burr? What do you think? Can I do an inlay prep using the 245 burr? What do you think? Why not? Well, what is the 245 shape? How do you call it? It's a pear shape. That means if the burr is parallel to the long axis of the tooth, immediately you're doing what? Or automatically you're doing convergence for the surrounding walls. So usually for inlays or even onlays, we no longer use burrs. We're using what? Diamond points. These diamond points. Whoa, wait a second. There's a difference here. Burrs. We have blades. Less number of blades, more is the cutting power of a burr. A diamond point, I'm not cutting anything, I don't have blades. I have diamond particles. That's a huge difference. Yes, I know, most of the dentists outside, they call diamond points burrs, but that's a wrong terminology. Did you know that? Me neither. For years I thought that burrs would be also diamond points. No, they're different, species. All right, so we call it diamond points. And we have to differentiate that because we need to understand. When I say a carbide burr, meaning you have blades, you're cutting enamel or cutting, it's way more aggressive. Diamond points, you don't have any blades. Number one, I have way more control, and usually for diamond points, you have a variety of shapes that you don't have for burrs. Usually burrs, you have a more cylindrical shape, you have this pear shape, or you have the straight or the cone shape, things like that. Diamond points, you have a variety of shapes, including wheels, including cone shape, and a bunch of different types of diamond points. Is that clear? Let's now unpack a little bit more. Remember, for composite or amalgam restoration, when you're prepping a tooth, I suggest you to use what? Burrs. 245, 330, and 1156. For every single burr that you use in the tooth, you have the prepping burr, we also have the finishing burr. What's the difference? A prepping burr, on average, we have 8 blades. A finishing burr, we have on average 16 to 32 blades. Remember what I said? What is the rule? Less number of blades, more cutting power. So if I have more blades, this is less aggressive. I have way more control. Is that clear? You understand that? Same idea for diamond points. Diamond points, they are differentiated by, we have like a collar on the diamond point. If it is a black collar, this is a coarse one. This is really strong. It's going to shave down a lot of enamel dentistry. But if you look at your composite kit, you might also find like a red collar or a yellow collar. We call it a finishing diamond point. They are less aggressive. They usually use the finishing procedures. Everything is still blue? Yeah.
Why are the walls diverging out in the inline?
Physics. Imagine a shoe box, okay? Let's put it this way. I don't have any other bad examples. Dr. Resnick, any other bad examples? Please feel free to jump in. He's too concentrated there, so not disturb. But imagine a shoebox, okay? So I'm gonna put some tension on my shoebox on the surrounding walls. We're gonna make it a convergence. Now I'm gonna fill up this shoebox with jello, okay? And put it in the freezer. Is jello, right? Yeah. So a few hours later, I open the freezer and I do like this. Is the jello moving? Why not? Because the convergence is doing what? It's providing retention for the amazing jello. Now let's do it like the other side here. I have exactly the same shoebox I had before, but now I'm opening it up to divergence. All right? Same thing. Put jello inside, go on the freezer. A few hours later, I open the freezer, and I'm gonna do like this. What's gonna happen? You have what? Zero retention. Take that jello on the floor. It's going to be messy, but it's frozen. All right? Try to put a jello back inside the box. It's going to fit perfectly. Why? Because I don't have any retention on my weight, so I can put it back the jello into place. That's called placement. The other case, the jello won't move. But let's say that somehow you manage to destroy the box walls, and the jello is out. And you have now a brand new box with convergence. Try to put the jello inside. Is it going to fit? That's why I said it's physics. When you're prepping a tooth, you're doing exactly the same thing. You need to take impression, send out to the lab. And later you have a final product that needs to fit inside of it.
Oh, we're sending out to the
That-
lab for the Inlay Onlay?
Wait, calm down, okay? This is only operative, that's informative. You're not doing anything in the lab, not yet, not yet. Okay, but in clinic, yes. All right? You got the idea?
Yeah.
Difference, convergence, and divergence, fitting, and placement. All right. I'm going to ask you a question that I want your answer. Onlay, guys. What's the difference between inlays and onlays? We are now missing what? At least one cusp. Because if I miss all the cusps, this is no longer an onlay. This is what? Round. So in dentistry, say like, well, you're just missing one cusp. Why not, put a restoration in that tooth that is only going to restore that missing cusp? Why do you have to destroy all the remaining cusps and cover all this cusp and putting a crown on top of that? That's a huge destruction, is it? So I'll feel bad. You know what? Yeah. Let's protect the tooth. As long as you're putting a convergence there, the shoebox principle here, that can take impression, send out to the lab, and have a restoration that fits in, you should be okay. The most important thing here for inlays, again, always pay attention to that, is that the remaining cusps, they have at least what in place? Resistance form. How do I translate that into the clinical environment? Me, Dr. Roperto. Hey, when I look at you, it's like, yeah, I think I can put an inlay or onlay here. For bicuspids, when I look at you, and I have at least 2.5 millimeters left on the cusp, this cusp is still very strong. I can just put an inlay. I don't have to cover this cusp here. For onlays, for molars, especially, by the way, you can have onlay in premolars too, okay? But for onlays in molars or premolars, I would say at least 3 millimeters remaining. When I say 3 millimeters, is right here, this distance between the external counter to the most internal line angle. Guys, I don't have science to back this information. This is just me. And it's been working okay so far. You probably can Google and go on PubMed. There are some articles out there. Any inputs, Dr. Roperto? What is your clinical opinion? How do we judge a tooth to be a good candidate for inlay or onlay? That's getting for information.
I would never do an inlay if you have a root canal done, because you need to support the cusps and that work as a wedge if you have a root canal and you're doing an inlay. So on that situation, I always go for an onlay because you can embrace the tooth around and it will support all the cusps. Usually you use the biting cusps for upper and lower depending on which tooth are you doing to put those cusps into your prep.
What is the minimal thickness on each cusp left that you consider strong enough to resist an inlay or an onlay?
I would say depending on the material.
This distance here, that's exactly.
You mean how many millimeters you will?
Yeah.
This distance, or how many millimeters will you will
No, the
do the
cusp,
prep?
the remaining cusp thickness. What is your opinion? What is the minimal thickness you consider that cusp to be still strong enough for you to put an inlay or an onlay in the tooth? Because I just mentioned that we don't have research on that. This is basically, clinical
I will think about
experience.
actually, because the cusp that you are not prepping, I will not even go up to the cusp on the triangular ridges or the cusp ridges. I would just kind of it's not actually a bevel, but a ramp. You not go over the cusp. So, but I would say 2 millimeters from the tip of the cusp going down to the triangular ridge will be something to consider to be strong enough.
Any thoughts, Dr. Rezer?
2 millimeters minimum.
Minimum 2? Same thing for only?
A little less on an onlay, and then the decision is whether to onlay the cusp or remove it, include it in the restoration.
Thank you, Rex. Do you have any other questions for you? No, you're taking that. Yeah.
So, if you are doing onlay, how do you decide which cusp you want to do?
Oh, you broke.
Right, but does that have to represent like if there's a root canal and choosing the cusp?
No, root canal and submission beginning actually, that's a scenario that the tooth is becoming more brittle. And he said something about cusp coverage. So we have to pretty much like take all the cusps. And eventually I translate that into a crown. So here in the US and the nation also, the insurance companies prefer you to put a crown on a tooth that receives the root canal. Why? Because longevity is going to be affected. So the insurance company might come back and say, you know what, I'm not going to put Inlay Onlay. You have to put a crown. I'm not going to change your judgment, but if you don't put a crown, you're not going to cover it. It's on the patient's mind. Because scientifically speaking, when you put a crown, the longevity is better. Then you have a bunch of particles. What he was saying that in the root canal, cusp coverage is ideal. It can be an onlay covering the whole thing, but then I call that a crown. But then also there's some packing more that thing. Oops, I'm just trying to. Back in the day, we also have a distinction between an onlay and an overlay. Overlay was an onlay that would cover all the cusps, but not going all the way to the cervical line. Which is like halfway. That's a CJ. I don't teach that anymore because nobody's doing it, nobody knows that. If you have completely cusp coverage, regardless where you're going, it's still crown. All right? More questions? Yeah.
Do you decide onlays and inlays the same as crown?
Very good question. Pretty much yes. Back in the day, we didn't have the adhesive technology. Meaning we didn't have like storic acid, adhesives, and going to glue the restoration place the way we do nowadays. So instead of having regular resin cements, we had like zinc phosphate. It was just like a cement to be replaced. But and that's why I want to show you these videos, because we can also take a lot of information from this. when you talk about gold restoration, have you guys heard about gold restoration? What is the thing that you learned most about gold restoration? What? What is the key feature about gold restoration, guys? Don't tell me aesthetics, because it's ugly. I'm sorry, that's my humble personal goal. I can't believe someone thinks that I'm metal restoration. That's okay, that's just me. What is the key feature on a gold restoration? No. The key feature. Why dentists love so much gold restoration? Why patients love so much gold restoration? What? What did you say? No. Okay.
It's strong.
Don't you? No, not even close. Come on. Too cool. By the way, do we have relatives in gold restoration now? Have you noticed that?
Wait, what?
Yeah, as a dental student, I'll be searching all my family members. I open your mouth, let me see what you have. Okay? And what is the key feature that you see in a gold that is a unique thing you see in gold restorations, regardless if it's like gold foil or just like Inlay Onlay or crown? What is the key unique feature that belongs to gold restoration? Longevity. They can last forever. It is well done. They can last forever. That's why I'm going to show you a video. This video is about 30 minutes. Okay? And I want to show you this. Because when I watched this, it was like, man, that's magic. I wish it was a phone in that gold age. Learn gold in dental school. But we can also extract new information out of that video that can be still applied nowadays using different materials. Let's dig into that. You thought it was going to be a week? Because I see some students already just like, all right. This video, by the way, is from Dr. Tucker.